You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another interesting episode of Ask Drone U. Hopefully we can help you get the right information regarding all things drones. As always, my name is Paul.
My name is Rob. Thankful to be here with you. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with us. We know you have a lot of options on how to spend your time, and the fact that you choose to spend a little time here is very appreciated. We do hope to bring you some value. In the meantime, askdroneu.com for your questions. Get them in. We want to answer them.
We definitely want to answer them. Today's question should be interesting in that we're going to be talking about the real, non-hyped, realistic, only true version of statements of what this drone can actually do for mapping, because you might be surprised. Let's hop into that question, which today is brought to you by the Drone U Enterprise platform. I'm talking about props because Drone U could have created Drone U Enterprise, but why would we want to be like everyone else when we have what they don't? That's why we created props, which stands for Professional Reliable Operators Practicing Safety. It's a chronological deployment of training courses as suites of courses to vastly lower the learning curve, but to create operational systems, communication systems, administrative systems, as well for pilots. But it is the only drone flight school that actually supports multiple pilots in teams, so that way we can empower managers to see exactly real-time status of what's been done, what hasn't been done, and whether these pilots are field ready or not. If you want to see the only drone school that has absolutely no competition whatsoever, then you have to check out propsflightschool.com.
Hey guys, Tom again, another question for you. Now that the Mavic 3 Enterprise is out, I was wondering, can you map with it? And if you can, are there any specific apps you can use or have to use? Is it dependent on what kind of controller you have? Can you use the classic controller? Can you use it with a phone? Can you use the RC Pro or the DJI RC? Just wondering kind of what your thoughts are on those, what you've seen. And then if you can map, and if there are any applications that support it, like I know that the Mavic 3 Enterprise supposedly has a mapping application on the RC Pro that you can use. Can you connect that to a Mavic 3, just the normal one, and map with that? Or can you map with it in general? Can you map with the Mavic 3 Classic that is now on the shelves as well? And then if not, what's the next best thing? Should we be looking at like a M30 for mapping? Should we be looking at Autel? Should we be looking at something else that's, made maybe here in the States? Just wonder if we can get your thoughts. Thanks again.
Thanks, Tom. Always appreciate your questions. Very thoughtful. And always bring up some really great points within your questions.
Yeah.
Which are great. Technically, I think we could say you could map with it, right?
Well, I think it's all, Robert, I think it's all how we define our mapping capabilities. Can we fly it manually and stitch some photos together? Well, sure we can. But can we create a scalable business and do mapping at volume? Absolutely not.
I don't know what that was.
I don't either, but I just went with it.
Anyways, no, I just wanted to get that out there because technically the answer is yes, but the devil's in the details.
Well, I think this is the perfect example of why an engineer, and it doesn't matter what type of engineer, you ask them a question and they give you this long stare and they go, it depends.
Oh, that's what accountants do too. Yeah. Because it does.
Okay, so let's try to go through all these variables to get this question done right. Some have said that the Mavic 3...
Okay, no. You're going to lose people.
Okay, all right. Some have said that the Mavic 3 Enterprise is the end-all, be-all, next mapping drone from DJI. I respectfully disagree for these three reasons. Number one, you are limited to the DJI Pilot 2 app, and you are limited to the Enterprise remote that comes with the Mavic 3 Enterprise. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there is no point of interest or orbit mode. I think I might have already said that. Okay. There are also very, very, very limited features built into the existing mapping application. Here's a perfect example. If you want to run a double grid under DJI Pilot 2, it's 5 separate single grids built together to do one double grid. It's really, really inefficient, and it causes holes in a lot of maps. So let's try to break all this down for all these different questions. Okay, DJI has been specific that they are only going to support the SDK on the Mavic 3 Enterprise. Litchi said it would take them about a year to be able to build a third-party application that would actually work with a drone. Drone Deploy has said that their software works with the Mavic 3. I have yet to see it work yet. There are no other applications with the drone, which really makes it difficult to be able to get the most out of the drone. Can you use the Enterprise remote with a normal Mavic 3 or Mavic 3 Classic? The answer is no, and I'm not sure why, to be honest with you. Can you take the remote from an Enterprise and use it with a regular Mavic 3? I don't know. I honestly don't know. You might be able to, but I'm really not that sure.
But would it matter much, really?
Yeah, because again, the question is, can you map with this drone? Well, I've flown this particular Mavic 3 and done my own manual single grids, and it does have a mechanical shutter. We were the first entity on YouTube to say this drone can do mapping, right? It has a global shutter. Pix4D Mapper reads it as a global readout. So we know it can do it, but flying mapping missions manually is not scalable. You're not going to be able to do a lot of, great work, and you're relying entirely on the quality of the pilot, which I don't care if you're one of the best pilots in the world. Doing 45 perfectly straight lines with the right amount of overlap is quite difficult. so that said, I'm not quite sure. We might have to play his question one more time to get through all the questions that he asked. But what is the best mapping drone outside of this? That is where I struggle, because it really depends on what type of mapping jobs you're taking on. Honestly, if I were to have a business that was just mapping and nothing else, no inspections, none of that crap, I would have a Phantom 4 V2 refurbished, and I would have a Wingtra Gen 2. Because with the Wingtra Gen 2, I can do georeferencing in the absolute easiest method possible, and I can also map 5,000 to 7,000 acres per day, if not more. So that's going to be my scalable solution. Does it cost 6 times the cost of a Mavic 3 Enterprise? Yes, it does. Is it worth it, and does it pay its weight in gold? Yes, it does. It's so much more efficient, and so you're getting more money per acre when you're mapping with that drone. Now, if I'm doing 3D models or smaller subjects, I'd probably stay away from the Wingtra. And in all honesty, I never thought I would say this, but here we are. I would buy the Anafi AI before I would buy the Mavic 3 for mapping. And let me give you 2 reasons why. Okay,
including the Enterprise?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have clarified the Mavic 3 Enterprise. Here's why. Number 1, the camera on the Anafi AI is much larger. We're talking 8,000 pixels by 6,000 pixels. Much, much, much larger. Now, it is a linear rolling shutter, but because of how most mapping jobs are actually being produced, I don't think it matters, because they're either using the cloud, or like in construction's case, they're just doing orthos and they're non-geo-referenced. So I would probably pick the Anafi AI for those types of jobs. Now, when it also comes to the Anafi AI, like the Mavic 3, there really is no third-party software application environment, okay? But the key difference between those two drones is that the Anafi AI, well, it has every type of flight mission you could ever want to do. And it's not like some marketing gimmicky stuff where DJI is trying to look like they know what they're talking about, but they clearly don't. Honestly, when you have Pix4D Capture and everything that Pix4D Capture offers, which is still, by the way, the absolute best third-party application, and it's not confirmation bias, it's the ability to do free flight capture mode, orbital mode, double grids, and single grids. There's not another application out there that does everything that Pix4D Capture does. Pix4D Capture is built into the Anafi AI. So if you're doing 3D models, you can do free flight mode. There's even a free lapse mode. You don't even have to be in the mapping side of the software to even use it. It's really brilliant, it's really easy, and it's really convenient. Now, here's the next level, right? Even though the Anafi AI takes a lot longer to process data because it is an LRS, here's what the Anafi has that DJI doesn't. 4G connectivity. So I can literally be flying and uploading my images as I'm running lines.
That's crazy.
So how many hours do you take driving between the office and your site, and you're organizing all your data, and you're making a project, and you're setting everything up, and then you're finally running everything? Okay, cool. And all that time, your map could be done on the Anafi AI. And while I'm really not a fan of that LRS shutter, all the other features that Parrot has built into the Anafi AI literally makes it a better drone than the Mavic 3. Never thought I would say that, but man, DJI, you guys really screwed up, and Parrot listened to their audience, like I said in my review video, and they really nailed it. And honestly, just both drones don't have the third-party software applications, but when you can do everything that you could do with most software in the Anafi, it takes the reins there. It's also a much bigger image. It takes the reins there. You have more controllability with the camera. It takes the reins there. It also has built-in 4G connectivity, so it takes the reins there on efficiency as well. We have the M30T from DJI, and the 12 megapixel camera is good for mapping, but again, you're limited to DJI Pilot 2. And there is no orbit mode. There is no POI. It really makes you wonder, what the hell were they thinking?
Well, and that's an $11,000 drone. Without thermal, it's more with thermal.
Yeah, the thermal and the zoom, that's the one thing, is that no one can touch DJI's zoom capability. And the fact that you can zoom into literally, I think it's like 48 times without going into digital, and you're still having a 48 megapixel image. To take 48 megapixel images zoomed in that much, it's extremely valuable.
Yeah.
So
it really does. They've just parsed everything apart in terms of capability, and that's a very strategic move on their part, right or wrong.
Sure, but if you parse too much, just like Apple did.
Yeah, back to the Apple from the last show, if you hadn't heard that one.
Then it regresses back to the mean.
Yeah, maybe.
So I honestly, like, if you need an inspection drone, M30T is by far the best. Public
safety?
No holds barred. Yes, 100% for public safety. And you can still do mapping with it. It's a 12 megapixel sensor. So you're going to have to fly lower, and you're going to have longer flight missions than what you would have with the Phantom. The Mavic 3 Enterprise would have missions that are about on par with the Phantom, if not take a little bit longer, because of the reduced functionality out of DJI Pilot 2. The Anafi AI would fly the missions a lot faster because you're covering a lot more area, but you make up that time in processing. If you're processing in the cloud, it's erroneous and it doesn't matter. If you're processing simple non-georeference orthomosaics, it's erroneous and it doesn't matter. Since we're seeing most construction jobs, most basic infrastructure jobs not being georeferenced because they're trying to stay away from surveying law, then the Anafi AI is the clear winner when they're almost the exact same price point. Mm-hmm. So like, if you ask me, where am I putting my money? I hate the way the Mavic 3 flies. They've tuned this thing for beginners, not for pros. When I look at the Anafi AI and how much fun it is to fly, how long it flies, by the way, no one told you this because I didn't put it in my review. It wasn't others. The Anafi AI can fly perpetually. You just need about 100-foot long micro USB cord. So little tidbit there. But
good luck with that.
Yeah, literally. The only thing I will say is I do like the remote more on the Mavic 3 because the remote dies pretty fast on the Anafi, but because the Mavic 3 remote locks you out of doing a lot of simple things that we're used to, I would still choose the Anafi AI. I mean, I think DJI is going to learn their lesson on the Mavic 3. When you've got third-party software developers like Litchi saying this is going to take us a year to completely redesign everything to even work with the drone, it really makes you wonder how viable this drone truly is. I think it's a waste of money. If you're doing inspections and map mapping, I would go M30T. If you're just doing mapping, take a look at our Anafi AI review, because I really do believe it's a much better mapping drone. Now, I do say in that comparison that the Anafi AI does take a lot longer to process data, but depending on which deliverables you are producing, well, it may not matter for you. Holy cow, that was long-winded.
Yeah, and don't get hung up on how it looks. I've noticed some people get all hung up on that. Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting and kind of cool. The Anafi AI, right?
People are saying they don't like how it looks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, of course they are.
Well,
it's different.
Are you gonna like it when your competition, how they look when they're making more money than you? Like, how much does that matter?
That's not a lot of people. I'm just saying, forget about that. Who cares? Who cares?
I'm dumbfounded right now. I don't even know.
Well, obviously, it's so different.
It looks like a praying mantis.
I understand.
It looks like
some
the closest,
people don't like that.
It looks like the closest thing to a natural insect.
Praying mantises don't fly. I guess
No,
short distances. I'm being facetious. It doesn't matter. I didn't mean to derail us that much. I didn't think I would grab you that much with that comment.
I was just thinking about this little insect that I've seen in the Amazon that looks like a cross between a dragonfly and a praying mantis. And I was trying to remember the name of it. And I was like, well, it looks exactly like that,
Yeah.
but I can't remember.
Anyways, cool drone. Apparently it works well. You like it.
It flies a lot longer than the Mavic 3, that's for sure. And
So, really?
when you think efficiency, Rob, if this was an accounting formula, you would pick the Anafi AI because you can fly higher quality missions at higher altitude. You can cover larger distances. It's 4G enabled, so you can actually do BVLOS mapping missions that this can't do without buying other accessories. So if it was an accounting thing and you were like, Paul, if we do 10 jobs and they're $10,000 each, what are my cogs going to be?
I talk like Trump when we're doing budgeting stuff, in case you didn't know.
In case you didn't know, okay? If I look at the cogs on both drones, I'm going to see at least a 40% increase of cogs.
Huge.
With it huge on the Mavic 3. Don't buy Chinese. China. Sorry. I saw that billboard that was like, I just missed the way he said China.
China.
I don't care. I'm not a big Trump fan. I just thoroughly enjoy
whatever. Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy the comedic relief. So
Indeed. Anyways, yeah. So I would imagine that answers Tom's questions pretty clearly.
yeah, no, 100%. And Tom, I really appreciate it because Tom was the person who was like, found the evidence. Look, DJI is not going to support SDK on the regular Mavic 3. Look, you can only use the Mavic 3 Enterprise remote to do anything SDK for a Mavic 3 Enterprise. Oh, look, they changed the OcuSync on the Mavic 3 versus the Mavic 3 Enterprise, so you can't intertwine them. Like, DJI went out of their way to screw drone pilots. I want people to see that, because if people don't buy this drone, then they'll be forced to make a better mapping drone.
Yeah.
And you got to vote with your money. You got to vote with your money.
I don't think their motivation was to screw drone pilots, but they accepted that it might. Their motivation was to improve their business, right?
Bingo. Make more money.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
And we can't blame them for that, but I just have an ethical, moral issue that I don't think you should screw over your customer and try to take as much money as you can from them. So that goes against my morals and ethics. But
anyways,
Mavic 3 Enterprise is great. If you're doing inspections, go the M30T. You'll be much happier.
Well, it's a lot more money though.
Yeah, but you have features on the Mavic or the M30T that you don't have on the Mavic 3, like that BS30 charger that's going to make your batteries last a lot longer than what they would with this drone. And you're going to get more life out of that drone. Honestly, I'm really bummed. I've been such a DJI fan for a very long time, and they were clearly like the best of the best, and they maintain that. And now it's like they're using that against their customers. And I feel like DJI, I gotta watch what I say. I feel like DJI peaked in high school. That's what this feels like.
Okay. Cool. No,
I get the reference.
I get the reference. Yeah, but hey, they got the Mini 3 Pro.
I love the Mini 3 Pro.
We're going to end on that positive note. AskDroneU.com for your questions. Get them in. We want to hear from you. Oh, but wait, there's more.
But wait, I'm just going to say a lot of people have said the Mavic 3 Enterprise is the best mapping drone out there. I respectfully disagree.
Oh, gosh. No.
And
stop it.
Check out other aircraft. So
stop it.
Hi.
I'm not telling you to stop it. I'm saying anybody that's saying that, stop it.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. I thought you were telling me stop
No,
it.
I wasn't.
So
I
glad you
wasn't.
clarified.
I wasn't.
If you have a question, askdroneu.com. Thank you for the question, Tom. We appreciate you. Thank you for being in the community. You're very, very good at what you do, and I really appreciate how much you care about others. If anything, I could learn more about that from you. So thank you, sir.
Absolutely. AskDroneU.com.
That'll do it for us today. Goodbye.